Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio. We're your host, Hurricane H. We're going to have some fun today because we're going to be aware today. We're going to be made aware of a lot of things because we do have a guest who is a creativity awareness educator who will educate us on how to be, I guess, potentially aware of things whenever, wherever. And so, it sounds a little mystical right now as I talk about it, but we'll get deep dive on this with our guest today. And my guest is Michaell Magrutsche. I think I got that right?
Yeah,
so,
perfect.
Yes,
perfect.
yes. I love that. So Michaell, first things first, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Hurricane, for giving me a canvas to paint.
Ooh, I love it. Well, you got a blanket one, man.
Exactly. Beautiful.
It's blank, all yours. Do what you got to do. Here's the thing. This is an interesting topic because first of all, you're into arts and creativity, and the word awareness or being aware is a huge word. And I think this. I sometimes in these shows, I don't know why I always go back to the discussion or the Matrix, the movie. And there is some reference to being aware and being, like really understand how it works in this world, right? So awareness is something maybe a lot of people are not aware physically. They think they are, and maybe they're not. And so we want to take them into a journey to discover what is true awareness being and really who they are to understand, themselves and their contributions. So, but before all that, you do have a story that got you into this because this is not something you wanted to, you were forced to go into.
Forced
right?
to it, yeah.
Okay, so guide us through that one, and we're gonna have some fun today.
So I was born in Vienna, Austria, and I was a sick child. So my parents helped me back a year, and then I went in in a class, and I found out I'm neurodiverse. I have dyslexia with dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is when you can't read your own writing. And I still can't. So I wrote 6 books, and I have to have the computer read them to me because of my neurodiversity. So I do the editing by writing, then push, speak, and then I fix it and everything else. So I can't read my own, writing. So I can read, little blurbs. If you text me something in the chat, I can. But when it comes to long reading long things, I start, switching words, don't get the context. I read, but I can't get the context. And so I had to really fight to get through. And I didn't, because at 40 years ago, they said, oh, you are dyslexic, but screw you, Michaell. Basically, when I was like 8 years old or 9 years old, you have to still read, write, and speak in front of the class. And I was stuttering around, couldn't hold my attention, nothing. I couldn't regurgitate. I understood, but I couldn't regurgitate. And so I had to repeat 2 grades. In that age, when you want to belong, when you are DNA driven to be a part of society, and you can't fit in, and how when you grow up, the age difference makes a huge impact on you. So when you are, 9 and are 2 years older than the other ones, because a year later, and then 2, and then 3 years older, I mean, you're the big guy that doesn't know anything. You're the big butts, and nobody says anything. Because you see, I'm pretty self-confident. Nobody said anything to me. I wasn't bullied or anything, but the system bullies you because they say, hey, them are the rules, and just do it. and I couldn't. And just then I went, wobbled on till I was 30, sold tapes out of my trunk, produced fashion shows, made exhibitions, with video, radio shows and stuff. And then I found out with 30 when I wrote a new resume, I said, you know what? I don't need anybody tell me I'm an artist. I think that was one of the pivotal points. I couldn't have been something else. I couldn't, because this is what made me survive. And, when you were little, how many lives did art save? Because the people that want to kill themselves saw a movie, heard a song they could relate to. That's why nobody goes even, this is my job, to make people aware that art is such a powerful thing. It might not have system value, but it has human value. And that this is my work. I also say how art creation is the blueprint of what humanly is possible. For example, in a company, you have a C-level. They don't know what's going on the bottom. The humans are exchanged like cogs on the wheel. But in a symphony orchestra, you can have the best house, the best conductor, the best violinist, and if the guy doesn't open the curtain, nothing happens. If the oboist makes a wrong note, nothing, the whole thing is screwed up. So you're forced to really be one, to create as one. And I always say this example because it's so relevant, this example, because you have worked at places where nobody knows what the other department does. And the conductor doesn't know either how to play oboe, but he knows how to work with the best oboist or the best that they can be and how to work with them. And so I make people aware about that we are creator animals. Number one, that we are from nature. We are part of nature. And in nature, your existence is the proof that you're worthy. You don't have to prove anything. You are an elephant or an ant. You're worthy because there is a job for you to do. And when and nature doesn't make mistakes. It's always balancing. It's always, it doesn't make mistakes. Now science even proves is that, what we thought was this nature, and we thought nature is wrong. It doesn't have it right. And they find out nature is right. So every human that thinks I'm not worthy, which I thought a lot, needs to take that example because we're not 8 billion people that are the same. We're 8 billion with unique fingerprints, unique eyes, and unique DNA. And by that, life is basically to figure out what's your part. What is your part, that puzzle piece? Where do you belong in, or where could you fit in? Where could you contribute in the game that we play called Monopoly? Our system games, the religions, the politics, all that, all the companies, all the sports teams, everything is in that big Monopoly game. And that's where we try. But in Monopoly game, there's something, you can't start the game without money, right? If you don't have play money, you can't even start it. So now I go back into systems. 40% of the human workforce have to suffice with $5.50 a day. So how can they ever put something on the side to save, to have some money to invest or play the game of Monopoly? They can't. And now, 60% of Americans live paycheck by paycheck. They've got to put some money on the side. So money is the greatest invention ever, but financial principles are totally outdated. They're outdated because they're not in harmony with nature. And we are nature. So if we representing nature in the monopoly system, it's not, that's where stress comes in. That's why you get diseased and all that stuff, because we buffer the bullshit that's going on in systems, and it's nobody's fault,
Wow, Michael, I'm listening to you. You've covered the topics that you just hit on I think we can spend days and days, and we're probably not going to
I
be
know.
able to finish the discussion. It is so amazing to hear you. First of all, first I want to go and say, your story, your original story, like how you were as a
Yeah,
child and what you had to
yeah,
go through. And by the way, from this platform, I mean, I know that there are people that may be going through the same or similar situation where
yeah,
they're not belonging due to something that is out of their control. I mean, this is not something you planned. This is not something that
yeah,
you picked out of, like, what do I want to be? When you're a kid, you're
yeah,
born with what you have. And I mean, and just listening to you, the fact that you could not read your own and you had to listen to it, it's amazing. But I see the positivity about one thing there, because you're able to now. Obviously, technology is helping now, but even 40 years ago, maybe the technology was not as it is. It was probably more difficult. So you'll have people to really repeat to you and things like that. So it's a more challenging. And it is a tough place to be as a child going through this. And again, from you and I to the audiences, viewers and listeners, if you are going through something similar with your family members or your children, you know, um, you got to have an open mind, as you said, be aware of it, and things will happen. You'll just have to find a way out. And what is, to your point, that signature? And you did find it. You find it in artistry. You find it in expression, because that's the other thing. Not everything can be written in words. I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and
yeah,
in itself, that proverb was saying that we always hear about is powerful, because I don't have to say anything. It's just an image can give it all, and you have been able to maneuver through the system, or the monopoly, if you want to call it. As I love what your analogy to the monopoly game, which is, to your point, that is live. I mean, it's been
yeah,
a big game in a way, and there's peons, there is different things, and everybody's going for who's going to have the most, and and basically get everybody else out of the play. It's amazing, but that's the way it is. Or a few will
yeah,
make it and the rest, so it's difficult. But so again, you're giving a message of hope to people, because that's one piece that I think we can definitely drive home today to our audiences, is that no matter what, I'm looking at you, you're a success story. You are
mhm,
helping people, you're giving back, and you're able to maneuver through this whole hurdles of things that were
mhm.
thrown at you without your choice, and you made it through. I mean, I know it was not easy. I mean, you make it look good, but
It took till 55. I mean, Hurricane, it took till 55. I hit and I was system monopoly successful. I co-produced with Robert Evans, who did The Godfather and Love Story in Chinatown. I was a city arts commissioner of Newport Beach. I was system, but I wasn't fulfilled. It's the fulfillment that you need, because you're so worried that you lose it or that you can't live up to it and whatever. So it took me to 55, and I don't want other people to wait till 55. You got to find the puzzle piece. Life is not to do the same way. So you went to Harvard, I went to Harvard, and somebody else said, I need to go to Harvard, but Hurricane and Michaell went to Harvard. No, you got to find the way that you find yourself, and go inward, not what does other people do. And that's why I like art so much, because I learned classical guitar for 2 years. I couldn't do anything. And then I said I had to give up a thing because of my dyslexia with the hand and brain coordination. And then I went to a party, and somebody said, hey, the percussionist got sick. Can you play a little color for the music and stuff? So, okay, I do it. And I became a virtuoso, make a record, everything. So that art teaches us that you can adjust. It doesn't matter what you are. If you're good at that, a man can play a woman can play a man. It's okay to do whatever you want, as long as the piece is okay. And I think that's why art is such a really using instruction of how systems work. So when I have let's say you and I fight, yeah, and we have a company. So I have the sales, you have the production. And we see there's a production problem, or there is something going on in this company. If your and my relationship is solved, the system is easy to solve. It's always the human connection first. And when we are talking about humans, I was literally 40 years ago, there was no technology. And what got me through is that I'm good with humans. I had to be good with humans, because I couldn't otherwise not be a part of it. and humans helped me, and humans are. That's why I say a human connection is priceless. Any connection that you have, you don't have to be friends with everyone, but having, like right now, we are in the moment, we're focusing on each other, and stuff comes in that is amazing. Because I don't talk the same to other people.
Well, you're right, and every discussion has its own, flavor, and it turns into its own way of doing it. It's funny because I love what you just said there, because I do podcasts with similar people that are doing multiple podcasts everywhere else, and with different hosts and stuff. And every one of those shows, if you listen to them, it's the same person, the same background. The shows are completely different, even though the discussion is revolving around the same topic, but they're completely different, with different flavor and signatures. And that's exactly what we are. We are 8 billion, as you nailed it right there. Different DNA, different,
eyes, fingerprints,
and that's who we are. We're different, and you know what? We all contributors. But you also hit on the system as configured, that gives by the few, the elite, whatever some people would call them. Unfortunately, we are all born into the system in a way, because you don't pick
over generations.
Exactly.
Over generations.
It's been just generation handed down to the other, and every new generation is almost obligated to be in the system no matter what. It's not like
absolutely
now, you're in it, then you have to figure out a way through it or out of it. So and that's a difficult task. Now, one of the ways, as you said, I love what you said, you use connections, because the way you needed that for various reasons. And you alluded to that when you were younger, and you said you had to repeat the classes or the years, right? Now, by the way, that concept is very not common in the US. So just to clarify, in a lot of countries overseas, if you're in the education system and you don't make your scores or grades, your class, whatever your grades, guess what? You will stay behind. Here in the States, very seldom you will find the idea of you staying behind. They push you all until you go through college, and then it's on you, because that's a different world. But not in European cultures or European study systems. School systems are completely different. I'm familiar with that system because I grew up in that same system, so I know exactly how it is. And you're right, age difference happens quick if you're behind, because you become the oldest child in the classroom, or the younger folks, and then there's people making fun of you, or you're not connected. It becomes, by the way, that's actually for both ages. If you're too old in the class or you're too young, it becomes a problem. I happen to be in one time in my life, I was the youngest, and I was literally people used to make fun of us, me and a friend of mine, and it happens. So unfortunately, it's part of the stuff, but you have to endure through these things, and you have to make it. And you know what, folks? I love what you said, Michael, by the way. You got through it until you were in the 50s mark, right? And by the way, one thing you said there, and you're very humble, because we didn't talk about your actual contributions to society and to the world, because through your artistry and stuff, you did, produce and do things. We didn't talk about your work in the business world and the entertainment and all the stuff in the multimedia. You did all that, and you hit on some quite a good numbers there, quite a few names that are like powerful for audiences. So I know you're just humble as a person, but you did that. But that's also something for people that are watching and listening, because no matter what is your circumstances today at any given age, if you have aspirations and ambition and you're determined, nothing's going to stop you, and you will achieve them. You will attain goals in the system, and then sometimes you evolve beyond that. As a matter of fact, I mean, it's funny I use the word evolve, because the purpose of my channel and my network is time to evolve. That's our motto, and really, it's evolving, to your point, beyond the regular, right? By identifying, yourself and aware, and all this stuff is important. So that being said, we've covered quite a few things. Now, your transition hasn't been easy, and you said you got to the age of 55 when you really got out of it. Now, I know why, because to your point, you had to eventually fight your way through your system. Two, you had to make the money and the abilities, because I think that's an important piece. Unfortunately, that is part of things. I mean, you can you mentioned some statistics about people making it paycheck to paycheck, and that's the reality.
60% in America. 60%.
That
insanity.
And I can add to it.
Insanity.
That is, and I can add to it that I think the average American household is like between $45,000 and $50,000. When you think about that, and you think about inflation, you think about everything that's out there, it is a tough place to be. And I'm talking that's household, not individuals. So that sometimes shared income and so that is, to your point, that's where you're stuck in the system and you can't move because you're in the same spot. You're spinning wheels.
Yeah.
We can't do this, we can't do that, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. And then there is a part of the system that actually takes you further down, which is that. When you're at that level, you wind up getting credit and just using so much of it and just getting deeper into that. It's like, those movie, like, what do you call them? Quicksand. You're just stuck. You can't come out, right? So it is amazing how the society, to your point, the system and the just the creation of this thing is a monster on its own. However, you alluded and you referred to nature. Nature is beautiful. Nature is balanced. Nature has it all. And I love the difference, or at least the descriptive you gave, an elephant and an ant. I mean, when you compare those two in size, I mean, that's like that joke, right? The elephant, the ant on the elephant. But really, every single element in this nature has purpose, has part of the big design, and it is working exactly towards the natural plan or the creative plan. And humans, we are probably one of the wasted ones in this whole system, because we're the ones who actually define everything and we destroyed everything at the same time. I make the joke. I mean, folks, please don't take this the wrong way from me, but I really refer to this. When you go to nature, animals go to the bathroom too, and they do eat. They don't leave garbage. They clean after themselves. Humans, we leave a trail of trash, a trail of, we have to have, systems to actually clean after ourselves. It's amazing how we are different, yet we are part of the same system that those animals are. And, and again, this is the part where we are obviously a higher breed of creation, if you want to call it that way. We are
most evolved. I would say we are most evolved. We are not the smartest, because I think today animals are smarter than humans, but I think we are the most evolved species because this is my theory. Because we can create. We are a creator animal. We can create New York, Google, Apple. We create everything on this planet. That is human centric, human systems. And the only thing why we need to be conscious of self, because the elephant knows he's an elephant. He doesn't care about the ants or anybody else. He's just doing an elephant. The ant knows what to do. The bug of this, the butterfly, everybody knows what to do. The bees. So they need to not be they don't need to be conscious of self because they're not creating anything. Humans need to be self-conscious because they have to have a memory. They have to see a past. They need time, space. They need the observance of time, space. And they say, okay, give me 8 4x4s and I'm building a house. So that they see in the repetition, like, there's 8 4x4s and we create a house or a table or whatever. So then we can copy each other, make the table better, and then have skyscrapers. So we have a development in this creation where we need to remember, we need to be able to copy each other, which we do because we are 8 billion, and by being together we are more. A team is always more than one, and so we create better. We help each other out. When somebody gets sick, the other people hold him up and help him. So this is the natural way of how we are. But we have forgotten, our generation, that we are part of nature. That's the whole problem. We forgot it. So we don't really, we don't say, oh, we are born in, we are systems. We just are born in systems and get baptized another system, and get school another system, and get a job another system, and get married another system. But we, have you ever asked, who's telling you, hey, Hurricane, we are a species of nature, other than I? Nobody says that. I mean, when you ask a scientist, they say, yeah, we are part of nature. We are one of the species. But literally nobody says it because nobody can relate to it. We are so detached from it That's why we want to save nature. We can't save something that we are part of. Do you understand? I mean, we can say we want to save the habitat systemically that we use so that our kids can also breathe air. Not like in Beijing, they had to turn off the cars and everything else so that actually could have the place and the Olympic Games. But we cannot save nature. How many civilizations have died and nature just grows over it? It has time, it's balanced. There's no time in nature. It just goes by its own, balances like everything and harmonizes everything. Look at Chernobyl, the reactor, the biggest catastrophe. It just grows over. When you look at Google at the thing of Chernobyl, you can't believe it. That was such a crazy city, and it's just grown over. It's just all over. The animals are a little bit bigger from the radiation, but other than that, everything is back to normal, on its way back to normal. So we don't need to save. We need to save our habitat for the future. And that's why we can't just plunder. That's all.
Well, Michael. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. It's like the dinosaurs. They die out. Okay, nature keeps going on. If we have the right, we have the choice to eliminate ourselves. But nature is going to go on.
And it's amazing you're saying that, because a good example that is very recent, and I know you went to Chernobyl, but you're right. I mean, that just shows you a site that was supposed to be inhabitable, completely a waste, a nuclear waste. Yet nature still evolved in it and retook over. And there have been documentaries about what would happen if humans disappear. Nature, the buildings will basically become, trees will just go and engulf them. And there's visualization of that as well. I think there was one movie, I Am Legend, if you remember, with Will Smith. That movie, I mean, they depicted a little bit of what it looked like, years if humans, and it was not a lot of years, passed, and quickly it took over and became a jungle. You don't have to, you can go to a home that is being deserted for a couple of years and you can see everything, the bushes and the plants and everything take over the house. And that's just really what it is. And the more recent, event that occurred, which is the tragic event of the pandemic, if you notice that during the lockdown, there has been studies of ozone cleaning and the Earth atmosphere becoming more, breathable and breathing. The oxygen has become. I mean, the ozone,
water, everything.
Everything got, because there was less, folks on the roads.
We don't have footprint.
And again, we're not touching on the climate change discussion here, but we're talking about just pure simple. We are part of this nature. To your point, we want to save the habitat. And,
exactly.
like if you watch, some sci-fi movies, we're always thinking about, I mean, even Elon Musk, looking at, a new, I guess, home for the species on Mars, or even there's discussion now about developing some I guess, cities on the moon. I mean, at least, some stage of that, in the discussion. Now, ultimately, that's a whole different discussion. We can spend hours in the merits of it and whether it's how hard will it be and so on and so forth. But the fact is, the idea of there's also that visualization of maybe living under the sea, because we haven't even explored much of that.
Nobody wants to live under the sea. That's not our natural space. Our natural space is the Earth. And that's our natural. We are nomads, we are not monoids that move around. And if there's no food here, we're going to go somewhere else where there is food, and then food comes back there. Because not every harvest is a good one, but in systems, every harvest has to be better, cheaper, bigger, and so we get so conditioned that we are never what's the word? We're never modest. We're never humble. I'm not saying sell all your cars or whatever. No, just be aware. If you have 10 cars, perhaps 5K. Just be humble, because if all of a sudden something happens, you can handle it. But if you're used to 10 cars, 10 houses, always new clothes, the problem is when shit goes down the drain, you go with it, because you can't keep that up. But the system has over generation created us, conditioned us. That's always need to be more. You hit the first quarter in your company. What happens? You start at the beginning. But and the same is when you have an Oscar, you get the accolades, the system accolades. You just have a little bit fulfillment, and then you start again. And it's like that, starting from zero versus learning, getting wisdom, wise, awareness, and then lift yourself. And then you get more because you're aware, you get more, money, success, whatever. And then you integrate that and do more. That's the natural progression of humans. But the system progression is, you have an Oscar, now you need a Grammy too, and then you need a Tony, because you want to be one of those five, or what they call all the five. You got all five awards, the Emmy. So you got 5 awards. You need to work at that. So in the old days, you got an Oscar, that was it. I mean, that was the best of the best. Now it's not even it. So we are just sacrificing for system accolades, which means nothing. What you are as a human being, what your purpose is as a human being, you're just sacrificing yourself for an award. And then we have the other system, media, that only shows us about system disturbed people. It's not showing up Michaell and Hurricane. They were nice guys. They lived their life. They had a podcast. They had a family. And then they got retired and died. You and I are irrelevant for systems. If we would fight, get naked, kill each other, try to kill each other, we are right in the media. So media is propaganda, where everybody's connected to media and thinks, what is the world doing? Because we have that DNA drive to be part of each other, right? Mm-hmm. And we see a distorted reality, because only this, you never hear of a politician that does his job, retires and dies. You only hear the politician that is crazy, that does this, that does that, or that was found out about this. And this is we need to be aware of our conditioning that we do ourselves. It's nobody to blame. We just need to be aware. The moment we are aware, we are not going to do it. That's what I'm saying. So once you're aware, is this human-centric? And human-centric has to be number one, because you are human. And then you use the system to help you become more aware. But you not make the system ever number one. Not your religion, not your political party, not anything. Because system changed like the wind. What was 10 years or 20 years Republican looks like Democrat now, and vice versa. The system, you cannot rely on a system to be always, exactly,
Well, the system is just like a coin, right? You got both sides, and you switch it, is the same piece, and
exactly.
Just a different facade of it.
It's still monopoly.
Well, you're touching on some powerful elements of a discussion here. I mean, one is, you talked about the balance concept and understanding you can have positions, but you have to understand to live without them if there is a need. And a good example of that is, and I've seen this in recent years, when we had, at least on the East Coast, we had the Hurricane Sandy and plenty of other, disasters that happened. You can see that where, you lose power for weeks. Some people cannot adjust to no power because they're so conditioned to power. I mean, you can't live without a freezer or a cooler or a fridge or TV or social media, Wi-Fi,
everything.
Air conditioning. Yeah, well, imagine that. But now humans have lived on Earth for centuries, and those were not part of that life. Yet, only the survivalists can manage through it, because they know how to live in nature. Yeah. They can adjust and adapt. Literally, people were going crazy. They can live without gas. People are fighting for gas because they need the gas. And so and being part of the system is one thing. Understanding how to be in and out of it anytime you want. That's when you're in control.
You said it. That's the key, to be aware of it. Number one, that's what I do. And then to be able to switch and know the priorities, and always be aware. If you have $10 million, you don't have to spend it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to lift $1 million, because they found out that when people have 1 million, they have to live like millionaires. When they have a couple millions, they have to do. So they have to sell their car, literally. They have already a Mercedes. They have to get a Rolls Royce now. They have to get an airplane now. So the more money you have, the more money you have to spend, which is absolutely insane. I don't drive a car for 20 years in California, because they stole my car, and I said no, and then I got used to it without. And obviously now with Uber and there's not a big deal. But and I all of a sudden was absolutely fine, and I enjoy going with public transportation, which we don't have a lot, but I enjoy using it because I want to see all kinds of humans. I don't want to be always hanging out with the rich guys. I want to see what's going on, in thing, and just to be aware of it, just the awareness. How many people of us don't have an awareness of anything what's going on outside their little cocoon?
Bubbles. Yeah, the bubbles.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, people live in circles, and you touch on the media and on the social media and stuff, and you talked about like the awards and the Grammys and the Tonys and all the stuff. And it's all it's almost like that's part of the condition to the system, right? It's like, how many degrees do you have? How many cars do you have? How many positions do you have? Like, which school did you go to? And there are people that really like, what watch do you wear? I mean, is it like a cheap watch or is it like a Rolex? Now you put a replica in front of a regular one, and again, it's going to sound corny, but really they don't. I mean, there is a slight difference, really, but for the price value, the question becomes like, is it real? Now, for me, an objective of life, if that's what you want to achieve and you have it, but then to your point, be aware what it means to you. It is still just a watch, and that's really the concept. To your point, a car is a car, a Rolls Royce is a car, a Toyota is a car. They do the same function. They'll take you from A to B. Maybe some luxuries that you're going to have there. I mean, think about, you can fly. I mean, if you fly on, let's say, Emirates Airline, right? They have these jumbo jets with 2 levels. You got the first floor. It looks like the Titanic. On the top floor, you got all the nice cabins with showers and TVs, and you can lounge. And you got the economy class, which is a regular plane, with seats and and it's funny, right? But it's the same flight. You go on the same destination. Everybody, now you can afford that. That's great. You cannot, you can still get to the destination. Being aware. Now, let's say if you can afford to do that, why not? You can experience it. It is from a motivational piece. Why not? You want to achieve things in life. But again, as long as those achievements are not taking you from who you are and changing your personality and your character, because that's what happens. People change. They become somebody else. They become into this. You can have friends that never had much, or like just basic, normal folks, medium income, whatever. All of a sudden, they become rich and they forget everybody else. You see, that can happen. We see that, in historic moments, and we've seen it, in a lot in our families. You might even encounter that if you're watching and listening right now. It is very common. Sometimes people don't know where to be. But you're right. Being aware of things is a whole different story. Like being aware, even in the street, you're walking. I love what you said. You're taking transportation. You are seeing the real life. I give you a good example. So this actually happened to me. I was in Morocco. And I was born there, so I went to visit years back, and then we were on the train, and I met these American folks, and so we were just having a conversation. We're Americans, we're having a chat, and then they were like discussing like some of the locals that go to the American school there, and those are Moroccans that they literally from home grab a cab, or they have actually a chauffeur. They go to the school, they go to certain places, to the airport, fly out. And they don't even know what's going on in the country next door. I mean, literally. And that's really their life. How can you possibly, I know this is an example of Morocco, but it could be here in the States.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Some people may not have to see it. But that's somebody that actually noticed that and was sharing that story with me. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm aware. but the fact is, it is happening. Some people are clueless about what other people are going through. Which was Trading Places, the movie. If you remember that one, same concept. Like what when you trade, what the hell? I mean, life is it's very easy. Like imagine when you wake up in the morning, like you lost everything. But the character didn't. When you have a good character, you can still make it through, and that's life. And so understanding who you are, where you're planting yourself, correctly, it's just a game changer. And it doesn't matter. Money will not change you if you are good in your character and you understand life and how you can operate within the parameters of the system. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You just gonna play with the system.
You can't subscribe to everything, because to the system, especially the lies that are spun by the system, that become realities. For example, it should be sunny every day. I say this is one of the biggest lies that advertising conditioned us. It should be sunny every day. If it's not hurricane, you can buy a Ferrari. We can sell you a Ferrari. We can sell you a pill, or we get you a face job or a new workout routine or whatever. So you're buying, let's say you and I, we're buying all these things and we say, yeah, that was great. You know, a week, a month, the Ferrari was awesome, but now it's a car. The pill got me for like perhaps 2 days. I felt better, and now I don't feel good. It's like a drugs. You know, when you take drugs, they're great the first time or the second time, and then they're never good anymore. You know, so a workout. You know, you get the workout. Then you have the body, but you still don't get the girl. So all these things that come together, these promises, and lie. And if you can do it, I can do it. That's the second lie. Because you can do it doesn't mean I can do it. That's why we have 8 billion different kind of people. I look at what does nature say? And that is not the same people out there. So if I'm a specialist in something and you a specialist in something else, doesn't mean we can just switch our thing and we can do it. And that's a lie. So all the coaching, all the coaching that's going on and all the programs they sell you and all this stuff, they say, yeah, I was a TEDx speaker. I was this thing, and you can do it too, No, and they would never give you a guarantee that you can do it. But they sell you a program, a book. I mean, how many books do you get? We don't have the time to read the books, to even read the title, because we're so busy with system work, I like, if I would meet you in person, I would never know you. You could send me books for free and say, Michaell, I can teach you this and that. If I wouldn't meet you in person, I would never have a connection to you because I would delete the email. It just
I'll be spam.
So that because humans have to meet each other, they have to feel with their 5 senses. I say 6 senses. The 6th sense tells you, am I resonate with this person or not? And you don't have to hug anybody, but everybody's a reflection of you. And it's interesting and it's enriching, always enriching another human. That's why I don't understand when people are on their iPhone with a person they go out with. I said, if you're going out with that person, that relationship has 0 value for you because you want to see if you're still connected to the tribe, with your iPhone, because the iPhone is basically our connection to inclusivity in the systemic, So when I see kids on the iPhone, I said, yes, I have no problem you doing this. And I would never blame you that you're on the phone all the time, but at least know why you're on the phone, because this is your connection to the tribe and you are DNA driven to be part of the tribe. So this is your thing. So try to have some good conversation on there and not just stupid text or play games. Just try to connect really with other humans, because I know everybody lives somewhere else and you've got a friend in let's say in France, have used the technology, use the system for your humanity, for your human-centric thing. And perhaps you can go one time to France, or they can come here, So when I say that to kids, they start lighting up because they were shamed from kids. Oh, you are always on the damn phone, but they can't help it. So that's when you need to see that. And when I see this, because I had another interview and the guy said, doesn't it bug you when you're at dinner and the person has it? No, it needs for me, because I'm aware, to tell him why he's on the phone and that he's aware that he actually is so afraid of being disconnected from the tribe that my relationship with him or my date is not valuable. It's not as valuable as I need to keep everything, because the phone is not really real. It's not as real as, and it's also a distraction that you don't have to go deep.
Well, Michaell, you're touching on a lot of things, and I love what you said about as we are, again, 8 billion people, we are different in every single way. And yes, there are similar doctors in some professions, but we all need each other for some different things. I cannot do it all. You cannot do it all. We need each other. We need different expertises. Now, the idea of if I can do it, you can do it. Well, certainly if you have the drive, certainly if you go to school, certainly if you do all this necessary stuff, are you willing to go like 9 years back and then start it all over again? Maybe there's a way for that. There, and I think sometimes
similar, never the same. Similar, because if that was the case, then the best doctor, let's say the best radiologist, would say, "Okay, Hurricane, you can be a radiologist. Go 9 years into school, and you can be like me." No, you can be a radiologist, but not the best like he is. And so it's still a lie. It's still a lie. You can't do what that guy does, Or you can study, and he's a normal radiologist. And let's say you are the super radiologist. Well, you're going to be cutting yourself down to be an average radiologist? No, you have to be what you are. And you have to be the best that you can be, not to be better than others. Because that system, again, that's where the racism comes from, genderism, all this stuff comes from. That we were systemically categorized. Okay, put the man in the war, put the woman in the stove, and make more warriors. Then, we conquered the people. They look different than us. Since we conquered them, they must be less than us. Then other sexuality, all this stuff is system generated. Every problem, and you can't fix that. And we are unique. You can't fix it. That's why Black Lives Matter doesn't work. When a system creates a human problem, you can't create a system that fixes a human problem because it was caused by a system. You can't fix it. That Me Too is a great awareness thing that people are aware about. Black Lives Matter, that people become aware of it, but it can't solve it. We have to solve this by talking to each other.
Well,
we have to. Yeah.
Listen, you're making a super point, because you're right. Even if, first of all, you talked about being a doctor or a radiologist, you got like thousands of people that graduated the same year, right, from different schools. They all have the same degree, but they all do different work, and they all have different, flavors and levels in their own practice. And we talked about it. Like, you go on podcasts every day. I'm just one of many. Now, our discussion is driving away, and you got to listen to somebody else. They're going to have a different flavor, and then so on and so forth. Yeah, we all do the same thing, but different. We're not clones. We are unique. We are our own personality. We are, again, no piece of art. I'm looking at your background.
Yeah, no piece. Just painted that. Yeah,
that was you. But see, no piece. You can copy it, and it will never be the same.
Yeah, we can copy either. That's another thing, another lie. We can copy even this podcast. If I say, "Hey, the recording, you didn't push the button for record, right?" And you're like,
it would be different.
You didn't. And so let's just repeat it. It's never going to be the same. That's why the moment is so important. That being in a moment, milk the moment. I say to all the artists, milk the moment and enjoy the moment and be aware and just observe it. Don't judge it. Just observe the moment. And be in that, because there's so much happening that you have no clue. It's magic that happens. There's millions of podcasts. Every podcast is different. And I think podcasting is really a part of saving this humanity, because people like to listen. It's a listening medium. You listen to me, I listen to you, and the people listen to you. It's a listening medium. And systems have made us not to listen. They have to make us react and not listen. And that's why I think it's a holy thing. I think podcasting is a holy thing. It's not, it's not to sell products. There's way better ways to sell a product. But it's literally, and 1% of podcasters make 99% of the revenue. So it's not a business either. It's literally, you're called for it. It's a call. It's a calling. It's a calling.
It's an education, and it's a resource system, and it's genuine for the most part. You get it right from the source, from experts of whatever they do, and there's no red tape to it. There's no kind of corners. It's straight talk. It's raw, and you get it from the source, which is not what like on their standard media, which is tweaked and kind of a little.
Manipulated for ratings. Yeah,
exactly. It's changed, to a degree, and it's purposed specifically for messaging and so on and so forth. Yeah. To your point, it's part of the system. podcasters are just you and I, normal people who actually, everybody's normal, but what I'm saying, like, we're not part of any system specific. We are.
We have no hidden agenda. Yeah.
No, I mean, there is a message that you want. And again, like, for example, my message is to hope that we can make a difference and change people's life one life at a time. And I think 99% of all podcasters will agree to the same message. And that's what they do. Doesn't matter what topic we tackle, doesn't matter how the discussion goes and what format, you all have the same. But you're right. It's just that uniqueness. And again, we go back to the theme of the discussion today, being aware. Self-aware. I love you said 6 senses, not just 5. You know, that intuition, that gut feeling, that energy level is a whole different thing. Like, it feels right, it doesn't feel right. There is that, like, spider sense, right? You know.
And why doesn't the question is, you can feel not right. And why? Somebody, you can be wrong. Like, if everybody told me Hurricane is the most horrible person, you know, then I come into the podcast like you're a horrible person, right? I try to fight with you or whatever. And then and then we end up like this, for example. And I say, so I was totally wrong. I had a bad feeling because I was conditioned by others. This is what racism is. I mean, look at how many groups they're all black and have one white guy. They're all white, they have one black guy or one Asian guy. And how can that ever happen? Because they all found, it doesn't matter where you go. And if you travel, you know that, you know, going to Morocco and everywhere, we're all the same. We're just systemized. All the Moroccans are horrible or the greatest. All the things, the Germans are all Nazis. All the, you know, we are conditioned, system conditioned, but we are all humans all over the world. I mean, I talked 250 interviews since like last March, and everybody's the same. I mean, I knew that before, but now I really know it because I was at places that I never would be. Iceland, China, you know, India, and I said, oh my God, they're just talk a little bit different, but they're completely the same.
But again, this is exactly the reality. I mean, we are one humankind. You know, it's funny at the facing of COVID, everybody got together and became one. I mean, that shows you how unique this world is, because when a virus comes on, and everybody now became the same. You know, we all were in the same predicament. We all had, you know, there was no conflict anymore. People were just worried about themselves and doing the stuff. And you're right. Humans are the same. Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter what religion. You know, I mean, we have differences in opinions about things, whatever. But to your point, the core is the same. You and I are not. You know, we're different, but we're not. We're humans. We have different personalities, different characters, different, you know, ideologies, whatever. But still, and that's the thing, like understanding where you belong, understanding the whole thing, and using that correctly. And I think that's the other point, you know, because here's the thing: we can be aware, but not do anything with it.
No, I think we do. I think once you're aware, I think you're okay. I'll give you an example. When you touch a stove, you can have your parents can say, there's 3 books you need to read that you don't touch the stove because you burn yourself. When you experience it, you know, you don't need to read any books. One time in your life, you burn your hands on the stove, you know, for the rest of your life, this is hot. You have the awareness that it's hot. And you know, coming back to racism and everything, I see everybody as a human, not even as a woman first. I see it first as a human. And then obviously I'm aware she's a woman, you're a different race, all this stuff. But a zebra doesn't give, and to show you how I look at life, I go and say, how does nature do that? A zebra isn't jealous at the giraffe because it has a different patterning. A giraffe said, oh, I'm higher, I'm better. The elephant doesn't say, oh my God, the zebra, that's nothing, you know, or the giraffe, I'm a friend of the giraffe, I hate the zebra. Nobody says that. Females don't even, unless you're procreating in nature, nobody cares it's a female zebra or a male zebra. Nobody cares. It's just, and when you push that into humanities, they are different race, they look differently, they are different gender, but primarily they're human and they're part of nature. So we are all one with nature. And when you said, that was very interesting, when you said we all become one, I think we instinctively became one in COVID. That was because we can't deny our nature. This is why we adapt so much to the systems, from religion to politics to all these different systems, to business, that we lost the awareness that we are a part of nature. We lost that awareness. And I think that's where the problems come. I think 80% of our problems are systemically. Because look, just think about that. If next time you're in anxiety or fear or upset, ask yourself, why am I upset? Is this a human-centric problem because my kid is sick? Or is this somebody else got a promotion in the company? Or we have to go to work because we're making a big sale. Those are all system-centric. And the fact is, even women, which is the sad thing, is feel guilty when their kid is sick because they need to go to work. So we are so conditioned that we even feel there should never be any guilt. Your child is sick, you take care of it. And there's no grandmother or anybody else. You take care of that child. And you should just call the company, and the company should say, be human-centric, that system. And say, okay, Hurricane, you stay with your kid. That's no problem. Well, no, we keep up the slack,
But you, that's the ideal, right? Scenario where there's an understanding. Unfortunately, I've seen this. I mean, I personally in the work system, I do tend to be that way. Like if someone has a condition, we all human, we all need to tend to help each other. Because here's the thing: my teammates, have a condition, you help them get through it. They'll do more for you when you need them, right?
Exactly.
But I've seen the opposite where you have some people that would care less and they would, no, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Yeah. You can, that's your problem. Figure it out. You got to be here. And so, but you're right. So it all depends on how you, I guess, tweak yourself within the system and adapt to it. Adaptability is a big deal here. And again, people are conditioned whether they're able to, again, you said it, 55 years to be who you are today. Yeah. And I think that also speaks a lot. Yes, you're right. We want people to do this sooner, and that's why we're doing this discussion. So someone at a younger age maybe this is again what we refer to blue pill, red pill, right? The matrix concept. Let's awake people, and hey, you can do this. But many people can tell you, well, what took you so long? You had to wait until it's like, well, our circumstances were different. We have the ability to share with you that today you might have a bypass to have a shortcut to where we are today and enjoy a better life, maybe, right? Yeah. And that's really what the message is, folks. I mean, you can discover this on your own, and whatever it's going to take, or you can use some of these nuggets that we throw in and maybe apply them and see what it does for you. But the fact of the matter is, again, we're humans. We have free will. We have the ability to select things, to choose. And yes, we can choose right, we can choose wrong. That's the thing. Now, right or wrong is also just a system. What is right, what is wrong? We have a part of the system. We think that what's innate, we almost know. Like this is good and bad. We have that inclination towards it, no matter what. Because to your point, the stove is going to burn you. It's going to be bad. And so these are things. Now, I want to just talk about arts. Mm-hmm. And the power of arts in your world and for people.
The power of art, I don't know if we talked before our interview or about the symphony orchestra, because I think that is such a good.
In there. That was a great picture. Yeah.
Okay, so art creation is more important. Any creation, because we're creative animals. We said that. So any creation is thing. So what is the difference between art creation or creating a podcast or creating a new iPhone or a new whatever, new pants or whatever. The art creation it has no purpose. You open up to a blank canvas and you paint. There's no purpose. You don't want to say, I need to make a red painting. You don't say that. You stand in front of a purpose. Or you listen to silence and you feel a rhythm, or you listen to silence and all of a sudden you like this high C and you hear that tone, or you hear the washing machine giving you a rhythm and you start hammering to it. It's just an inspiration comes in from your non-physical self, because that's, it's still you because you have the inspiration. So the non-physical self that you are at night when you sleep, you're not conscious, you're in the body. And you have with that non-physical self, you have a conversation. So you're looking at so basically when I look at the white canvas, I'm connected with my unconscious, as I mean, my non-physical self. And I say pink, green, blue, and then blue resonates in your senses, and you make the whole canvas blue. And it says, you feel some uncomfortable. No, not this blue, another blue. You make it a new blue. Then you put there, said perhaps a green, red, purple. Purple's not good. Green, red, yellow. Yeah, yellow is good. And then it comes so far because this is the magic of creation. When the painting, like you see that with your podcast, it takes over. It decides what it's going to be. And that's where the tweaking comes in. You started perhaps with a religious podcast, and now you are a sports podcast. So you look at that painting and said, I want to do a red dot or yellow, and I want to put that in the right corner. So there's no logic there. You put it there, and it says, nope, it doesn't work. You did it. You paint over it. You do it on the other side. And then it says yes. You feel it's red. But if you put it that for you, it wouldn't fit having the dot on the right hand, but putting the dot on the middle lower end, it would totally work. And this is when what you created gets its own life. And this is why art creation is so powerful, when you can actually be aware of doing this while you're creating. That's why I say milk the moment of everything you're creating. Like you and I creating this podcast, milk that moment of you and I being in the moment, because there's stuff coming in that never comes in if you're not in the moment. And when you create, you cannot think. If I think about that dot, I'm not thinking, oh, I have to pay the bills, I have to do my wash, I have to run the dog. You can't. That's why it forces you to be in the moment. And that's why people feel so good when they create, because it forces you to be right here and focus on that thing. And that's why 97% of artists are poor. They can't work in linear in a system because they feel so good when they create. The problem is with artists only that they look systemically at their work and they say, oh man, I need to sell this work. And it's like a businessman creating a suit that doesn't sell. So he creates another suit or does something totally, sells pipes or whatever. But artists are because they're putting their self in, they think the system must like it, but the system sees as art like a product, like a commodity. I mean, Magrutsche just sold for 36 million. A very simple painting, nothing special. You could have that millions of times today, but it's a commodity. There's very few there. It wasn't seen since 1976. And now $36 million. And I said 40% of humans have to suffice with $5.50 a thing. And this is what financial principles distort. Because there's no logic. There's all the logic you seeing the commodity market. It's a good investment. It's good, whatever. But $5.50 you have to live on, that is not supposed to be. That is an imbalance that's not supposed to be. I'm all about a lot of money, but I'm not about people not having any money. Not a roof over their head, not enough to eat, not enough good to have, not enough health care. I'm not a Democrat or anything. I'm just saying there is a basic, because even in nature, it's not perfect. But in nature, you have a habitat, you have food. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but you have food. And nobody has to die from hunger unless there's some disturbance in the thing that we did,
It comes back to humans, right?
Yeah, I know.
But it's amazing that you said, that about art. I mean, but the power of what it does. I mean, it feels good to create something, to have art, to be creative. It's like a high on its own. I mean, no matter what. And by the way, anyone watching or listening, whatever you're into, if you achieve a small thing, whatever it is, it's gonna make you feel so different, so great about what it is. Now, if you like canvas, as you said, and I love the portrait behind you, it's a gorgeous one, the painting. It's amazing when I know that you were literally into it when you and you. It's funny you said that red dot and yellow dot, and you do have a yellow dot and red dot on that one. It's amazing how that feeling is there, and like, for example, we finish this podcast, we know that there is an energy that's emitted from it, and it's going to be out there, and someone's going to benefit from it. That's a joyful feeling, and it's unique.
But first, you and I do. First, you and I do. We get the most value out of this podcast, you and me. Other people can say, "Oh, he transformed me," or whatever. But we get, if we're knowing or not, we get the most value out of it, because I'm also listening to what I say. So I'm also the observer. And I said, oh my God, I've never said it in that way. And why? I never thought about this way. Hurricane got that out of me, So, and your questions probably changed too. They say, oh, I'm asking that. He said the word, and So I think art creation is. You see this with little kids. What is the most fascinating when kids? And they don't even do it right, but they're so fascinating when they draw with crayons and stuff. And they draw a house, the family, and they're just fascinating that they could bring that observation into the physical, or whatever they imagine. If they imagine all crazy stuff and there's a dog with wings or whatever, they can't fathom that they had a imagination and to put it on paper. It is and that's why kids, when they are really in a stressful family where everybody's fighting, they go in a corner and they draw, because it makes them feel so good to be in the moment, and then getting a result, because when they don't get the appreciation from the society or anybody else, you get an appreciation from having achieved that. See, I can say yours is the best podcast ever, or it's the worst podcast ever. It's irrelevant, because you can be the best podcast today and the worst tomorrow, systemically, right? Mm-hmm. But what can I not take from you? That you did it. I cannot steal the fact that you had an idea of a podcast and you physically created. And no system gives a shit about our achievements. It's all about, what are the accolades? What is the fame? What is the success you got out of it? It's not, what's the fulfillment? What is the achievement? How you got through this? And this is another thing. When you think human-centric, you can see how much this is. When you see system-centric, you say, I don't care, Eric. You need to have 1 million views. You need to have all the fame. You need to get a lot of awards. Then you are somebody. You're nothing. You're the same as you are now. But system gives you a stamp and say, now call yourself the best podcaster or the worst, But nobody actually gives attention to, man, there's millions of humans that created a podcast. And every podcast is different. And every podcast helps humanity to understand themselves more. Nobody gives about that. And isn't that weird? When you look at human-centric versus system-centric, just the awareness, you say, oh my God, then you find very quickly, as you saw my example, you find very quickly value and worth, even in systems.
I'm listening to you, and it's amazing. I always say this, and I'll just reconfirm it today. I am the first customer of my own, shows, because one of the things, while I do want to share and split, the wealth, as they say, or share the wealth with the world, for me, I absorb all this stuff, and it keeps me motivated. And you're right. If nothing happens, I never make it to the limelight, whatever they say, it doesn't matter, because the fulfillment part, that I know that I've helped someone out there, the fact that I at least I did, it's something I wanted to do. It's bucket list, check, done. And it is the work that goes in this. people cannot even understand what it is, unless they start. When they start, they go, oh, damn, this is not easy. Hey, it's not just get on the phone and in front of a camera or a computer and start talking. There's a whole thing, especially if it's a whole program and a different, system that you create in your podcast platform. So you're right. The fulfillment part is when you're human centric, it gives you a whole different outlook. If you're system centric, it's really just like, well, I
hope.
What do you feel it or you don't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you look system centric at your life, it's all false hope, because you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. Even if you say, I did everything exactly like Tony Robbins or whatever, and it didn't pan out, because we said you can have the same education. It doesn't. It's false hope. This is what the whole world is, in a false hope. The false hope about AI is it will take all the stuff away, the work that we hate, the system work, right? And that was when the computer came. We worked 5 to 8 times more output per person, I don't know what what this. So we worked 5 to 8 times more output, but we still have less time. We still have less money. We didn't get as much money. Even though we do 8 times the output with computers and cell phones, we're 24 hours reachable. We can't do it. But we just can't. I think that's me.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything. I think the AI does that already. So when I do this,
I think that's right. You said raise hand, and I think AI responded.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that something?
Yeah. I mean, but it's wrong. It was wrong. That wasn't the point.
I know
it is wrong. The AI is wrong. So
I didn't understand what it was.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it is weird. It doesn't make any sense to have AI and system relevant and whatever, if there's for human-centric view of that, I always ask, what is AI? This is my biggest question, and nobody answers it, and nobody questions. What is the human-centric advantage of AI? Not the system, not that it does your emails and does system-centric stuff. What is the human-centric stuff that AI helps you literally? And nobody can answer that. They all say, "Oh, it does your emails. It does the translation of the transcript of the podcast. It does this. It's got to give you more information." Who needs more information? I don't even have the time to look at the information that I have.
But it's still not human centric. This is not a feeling.
It's not human centric, anyway, because information is not human. Awareness is human centric. So does it give me more awareness? No, it doesn't. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's just a piece of technology. I mean, maybe as it evolves, maybe it gets there. I mean, then it becomes a different level, but not at the stage it is today. And it's funny because for our viewers, you probably understood what happened, but for our audiences listening, so I think Michaell mentioned raise my hand AI, and literally we had a hand risen in the actual
without me clicking. Yeah,
he just mentioned it, and I think his AI responded, and we had a hand, like he's raising his hands on the show. So it's amazing, and it was not what it was intended, just to prove, I guess, the point. Listen, I mean, we've covered a lot, and I know we can do more, but I think really the main thing, and by the way, something you said earlier that was very interesting and very powerful. Value of things is really what people are telling you when you have anything from this world. And you said it. You can dream of the best car. Once you get into that car, it becomes nothing to you. It is a fact. You want a big house, you get into the big house, like, okay, so what? You get a big title, and now you have the title. So what? And by the way, this is exactly reality of things, folks. No matter what it is. Now, you're right. I can have a Rolls Royce. Now I want the plane. You get the plane. You probably want to have a sky, space shuttle.
A rocket, space shuttle.
Yeah. It's just the human nature, and we are designed to start like always looking at, what is the next. Now, if again, from an achievement perspective, that you want to get it down in your check, mark, I got this, and if you can't afford it, you can't do it, that's fine. But the fact of it is, it's not going to change what it is. Again, still a car, still a car. The house, still the house. I tell people this: how much of your house do you actually utilize on a day-to-day basis?
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, how much of your bed do you use? Not even your house. When you sleep, you're just basically a corpse on about maybe like a 2 feet wide,
Yeah.
and depends your how high how tall you are. That's about it. So even if you toss and turn, you're not getting the full bed. So the fact of the matter is, it's all perception, and yes. By the way, we're not anti you using whatever you can enjoy in life. Enjoy whatever you have and work towards more. Why not? If you can, do it. But the fact is, again, know the balance, be aware of things, and be humane. Have, to your point, have that human-centric, purpose in
First,
life.
always first. Humans have to come first. System have to support humanity. That's why we created it. We created a social welfare system that when we are old, or Social Security, when we are old and we can't work anymore, that we, can survive. And that's why we created it. It should support us, not, now we have less for seniors. Now we have less for this. No, it doesn't work anymore that you get your pension, because it changes. And now you can't go in retirement with 65. Now you have to go 70. So it's constantly, so you can't even trust that. And I think the awareness, and by the way, Hurricane, we can do this we can do another show.
We should.
If you have a question. But the thing is, just the awareness. If the takeaway for the day is nothing is, first of all, everything is human. Look at your whole life, whatever you feel, joy or happiness or unhappiness, because often the human-centric, having a relationship, whatever, that's making you fulfilled. That gives you the height of emotion, where the system-centric getting an award, that's like a day, and I got the award. So what's next? So just to separate those, and if you can do this, my life, literally, this is what I got when I wrote the last book, Smart of Art, and I said I need to find out why 97 to 99% of artists are poor. I separated my whole philosophy of me in this book, and I saw, oh my God, the creation of art is way more and more important than the product of art. And the better the communication is in creating, the more you settle into this, lean into, I want to create, and I'm talking now, it's not something I need to know system logistically or linear. It's just my conversation between my non-physical and me. The more you lean into that, the clearer your conversation is, and the products that you create out of that conversation, because whatever you have, your conversation led to a podcast. And the clearer your conversation is with your non-physical, the clearer your product is. So perhaps you did it very quick, but another person doesn't have a clear conversation, and it takes them 10 years to get to where you are right away. So the clearer your conversation is with your non-physical, and this is not spiritual or anything, this is just normal, we're human. The clearer and the easier is to integrate. That's why I say your job should always be an expansion of you. It shouldn't be something for money or because your parents wanted you to do it. Is the job that I'm doing expansion of me? And if it is, then it's easier for you to integrate, because you have the passion also to stand it through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you can achieve that, that's the most target that we should all have. That's right. Yeah. I mean, that is, it's not easy, but I think that's what we have to strive towards. Yeah. And I think we owe it to ourselves to get there. And whenever, 55, 40, 30, 60, it doesn't matter. The key is to get there. Today's a good day to start, as always we say. And you know what? It's possible, where you can actually find yourself and be fully aware of everything. And then that's like the highest level of humanity that you can be. Yeah. And that is, again, a good place to be. It's just a fulfilling moment, right?
And your way, not our way, not what Hurricane did or Michaell did. Your way. You have to find out your own way, because you're one of 8. You're not like 8 billion. You're one of 8. And if you don't think that's valuable enough to look for what is that uniqueness, then you're lost case, because you are unique no matter what you say, and nature isn't wrong.
I think everybody has the feeling that they're unique, but I think because of the conditioning, we all think that we just conform to everything
100%
else.
right.
But we all have something to offer. We all have something to bring to this world, and everybody, doesn't matter what age, what time, where you are in this globe we call Earth, you can still do it. And I love what you said. It's not about what Michaell or Hurricane says or how they do it. Find your own way, do it your own way, but just do it. If it's fulfilling for you, and to your point, it has your passion in it, and it's expansion of you, then that, or an extension of you, that's what you should be looking forward. And it will happen. If you actually want it, it will happen. That's the other part.
If you see it also, the beggar on Fifth Avenue doesn't see that he has value, and that's the sad thing. But he's affecting everybody that works on Fifth Avenue, because some people go on the other side of the street. Somebody talk to him, some to the homeless people. Some people give money to the homeless people. But he affects more people than you and I in any podcast we can. But he's not. The sad thing is he's not aware that he does that, and perhaps that is his natural function, his unique function, to make people aware that that can happen to them in a month, one paycheck, 60% leave from paycheck that they end up. And perhaps that's his, and the sad thing is that he feels ashamed because he has no system value. And people that walk by that have system value on Fifth Avenue feel like it's not worth anything either, because I can end up like this guy in 2 months. And that's what I'm saying. It's the awareness of how we are, so of our humanness. And once we start thinking human-centric, life becomes so easy. Like, I explain it easy because I thought it through human-centric first. That's why I'm so good in explaining it, very easily. Because it's very simple what I said. I didn't say anything, you have to bend your brain around it. No, just
No, well, listen, I don't know how we did it. We've gone way over the hour, but
make it two-parter.
No, it's good. Listen, it's flowing. I think once you get into this, it's again, just like you and I, we get intense into it and we get into a discussion. If you're watching and listening right now and just start this, you will definitely see value. And again, you're going to get some pieces of it, maybe the whole thing. But really the core message is just you need to be aware and raise your awareness of who you are. And that's about it. The rest is going to just start being clear. Like, to your point, blank canvas, and it's yours to do whatever. But you have to be aware that there is a canvas, that you have creativity, and that you can apply that creativity on it. And then the rest is history. Whatever you want to do with it, And by the way, you said it best earlier. If you don't like the dot, you can erase it and do another one or restart.
Yeah. And don't imagine it has to be the Mona Lisa. Most people create anything. It has to be the best podcast. It has to be the best interview. I mean, if you think like that, you're not in the moment. You're systemic, and you think, if I'm getting on Hurricane, oh my God, finally, oh my God, I can't wait. Can we do the talk so that we get a lot of listeners? Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the creation. Milk the moment of creation. That is the highest wisdom I can give to anybody.
I appreciate that. And, it's funny because I think you alluded to this something earlier and talking about allocates and things like that. And in this world of media and social media and podcasting, I mean, it's all about views, downloads, and likes and stuff. Yeah. And frankly, what you would notice is that you can go on Facebook right now and go to any group and you'll have a live that has millions of viewers and chat. But if you look at the content of it, you're not going to get anything. It's all gossip and, and discussion that may be very of little relevance or potential knowledge. Yet you can listen to better, I guess, orchestrated, talks that has some real matters, some meat and potatoes in there that can help you and in life. Yet the views or the likes may be less. But that's the thing, sometimes well, I'm not worried about that. what I worried about is to make sure, to your point, make the moment, give the best performance that we can give in terms of, what we can share with our people here. And then the rest is history. It's going to find its way. One day, this show, 10 years from now, it doesn't have to be now. 10
You
years
say
from
the
now.
same as I say. I say the same. It doesn't matter if we have it next week. It could be let's say they find you and say, oh my God, that hurricane was such a great, you're dead. And they say, oh my God, Hurricane was the greatest podcaster. And then they'll listen to all the stuff. And then I get the accolades, too. And they say, oh my God, where was Michaell? On what podcast was he? And it's like, there's time, outside of this physicalness, there's no time. So everything happens at the same time. So because we just don't know currently what's going to happen. And since we can't know, it's stupid to worry about it. I need to get an Oscar for this. I need to get this for this. I need to get an accolade. I need a raise from it. No, just do the best job that you can. Enjoy it. Enjoy the job.
That's exactly what I do. And you know what? To your point, if nothing happens and one day we disappear from this world, which will happen, this will be behind us and somebody will benefit from it eventually. So it's a legacy. Exactly. And that's all there is. Now, whenever it founds its flavor and people start seeing the value of it, they will actually embrace it. And we'll welcome that if we're still part of this world. Yeah. And if not, somebody's going to take it over, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
Again, talking about signature, that will be our signature, man. And that's powerful. And you know what? That's purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. We did our puzzle piece in humanity, not in systems, in humanity. System-wise, Elon Musk is bigger. But he does. I don't know if that's his human-centric purpose. But he's a better player. It's like a chess player that is a master chess player. We are not master chess player, but we are master humans. We are unique, one of one, and we are aware of that.
And that's all it takes. I mean, everybody's. We come alone to this world. We live alone, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, to your point, one of one. It's you versus you, and that's about it. Yeah. Well, listen, Michaell, it's been real. We had a great time. Pleasure. I enjoyed this discussion so much, and I've learned quite a bit. You give a unique perspective about humanity and how we should be, and I think it's just powerful enough to help guide your vision. So if you're watching and listening, this is gonna probably reset your way of doing things. And that's beautiful, and hopefully that's actually achievable by you, whoever you're watching and listening right now. Any last words of wisdom we want to close with? Are we good?
I think we said so much that I would, if I was a listener and I resonate with what we spoke, just listen a couple times to this. It's gonna change your life. This podcast this episode is definitely changing your life because I pumped in all my wisdom, and my wisdom became clearer. Because Hurricane gave me the space and asked me the right questions. And I say, just listen to it. There's nothing, some seeds bloom, like in nature, some seeds sprout and some seeds doesn't. It doesn't matter wherever you are. This episode will give you human-centric value. It will not make you successful. It will not do anything, but it will give you a feeling of fulfillment that you're being okay being a human. Because so many people don't feel okay being a human because they have to compete with a system that works 24/7. System doesn't need sleep. System decides what to need to be doing. And but without humans, there's no systems. See, without systems, there might be a lot of people dying, but without systems, humans will survive. Without humans, there's no system. So that makes the point to the whole conversation.
Well, you said there's not much to add, and you added a lot more in there in that 2 minutes. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Michaell, for being on. And this was great. And so, folks, I hope you really enjoyed this episode and this show. And you know what? Take it to the bank. That's all there is. I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.